Hello there. So today we'll be working on Northwest Corner Rule implementation, which is a transportation problem in probably Python. Python is a programming language in which we'll be implementing the Northwest Corner Rule algorithm, which is a transportation problem. Okay, so let's start by opening the file. So I have this northwest corner.py which is empty, and let's open a Python REPL and we will check as we code. Okay, so let's now first thing I need to do is generate random numbers. So let's see how that's done, because I don't code much in Python. So okay, so there is random, randant. Probably randant is the thing. Let's see if we get an integer. Okay, we missed two arguments actually. So we will pass two arguments and see what happens. And we got a random number. Okay, so I'll be importing random here. Maybe I should increase the font. Menu set font and increase it to maybe 14, and Ubuntu Mono. Okay, okay, I can increase it much more, maybe 16. Yeah, so this looks fine enough. Now I have imported random and I can initialize x with random.randant. That will be in between. So first let's consider a size of the demand. Yeah, so we require some demand here, demand count. That will be random 2, random.randant in between 10 and 20. And let's start with small numbers first, maybe 5 and 10. Then we will hop to larger numbers. Now we need supply count. That will be random.randant 5, 10. We got demand and we got supply. Now what we need to do is fill these elements with random numbers. So we require two lists, one for demand, that will be an empty list, and one will be supply, that will be also an empty list. Now there will be an array. Oh, so this array will be initialized with nothing, like cost array, maybe costs. That will be empty too. Now what we need to do is fill in range demand count, then and range is done. Now we need to fill in demand dot append is there an append? Yeah, we have an append, and random.randint, maybe bigger numbers, 200 comma 500. Now the thing we do is supply is that it needs to be same, like the sum needs to be same as demand. So I will just reverse it, reverse, and so should it work? Let's see. So we have a list 1 comma 2 and x dot reverse, and x becomes 2 and 1. No, so we will initialize with demand and supply dot reverse. That's fine. Now we have supply and demand. Now into fill in the costs for I and range. Yeah, so we are missing something here. Let's consider these two numbers to be same, so that we need to work lesser. Okay. Demand and supply count. Demand and supply count. Demand and supply count. And J and range. Demand and supply count. The next thing we do is costs dot, no, we will not append the costs, we will have something here. For example, temp, a temp array or maybe a temp list and we will append into temp random dot rand int maybe 50, and the next thing we do is costs dot append temp. That looks fine. Now let's send the whole buffer. Okay, so we are missing some. Okay, we'll do it from 0 to 50, or maybe 5 to 50, 5 to 55. Metam MSB. Let's see. Okay, so it did compile, and let's see what happens next. Now what we will do is we will see the values of demand and supply. Okay, so supply didn't got reverse. supply dot reverse. I think we need to do it like this. And again send this into the buffer, and let's see the values of supply demand. No, it's not happening. Let's print the values here. Print supply, then print demand. Like this, both should be same or they should be different. S B. Okay, so we got here, yeah. So now let's see if we have something to clone. Copy. What does copy do? Does it take any argument? Let's see here. X equals to 1 comma 2 and x dot copy. So we need copy. Now when we evaluate the buffer again, let's remove this print statement. I suppose this should work. Now let's see the values of demand, supply. Yeah, so we are getting it. Demand we got, supply we got, now we need the costs. Okay, so we have got costs, we have got demand, we have got supply. The thing we need to check here is demand and supply count. It's 6, so 3 plus 3 6 columns and 3 plus 3 6 rows, and we are good to go. Next thing we gotta do is we need to take two variables, I equals to 0 and j equals to 0. Okay, so now we gotta do is while I less than 0, I less than 6, or and j less than 6. Now we will be checking the values of cost. No, we're checking what is lower. Supply of I is lower, like I will be, this is for supply, tracking supply, and this is for tracking demand. Supply is less than demand. What's it? Demand of j. Okay. So we need to let me think. So we are having supply of I and demand of j. Okay, so we need another, like, the northwest corner list, which will be containing the path. Basically it will contain the path, and there will be another temp list which I will be appending with t dot append 0, and nwc dot append t. This seems fine. The next thing we gotta do is what's it? The next thing is supply and demand is there. We need to subtract supply. No, we can just do like this. Supply. So x will be 0 initially. If supply of I greater than demand of j, then x equals to supply of I, else x equals to demand of j. The next thing we gotta do is supply of I minus equals to x, and demand of j minus equals to x. So we have cut the demand and supply, and we gotta record this thing inside the nwc array. nwc array is nwc of I and nwc of j. Is it an okay? So we don't care. Is it so? Like, I represents supply, so the rows are representing supply. Fine, I think. So nwc of ij equals to x. Now we gotta check if supply is of I is equals to 0, then increase I, else else supply demand of j equals to 0, then increase j, and let's see if it works. Hope it doesn't take infinite loop, go in infinite loop. SB. Let's see. Okay, so we got some error here. Okay, so my C++ skills are being shown here. So this shouldn't happen. Now let's see what happens. Meta msb. Okay, we got some error again. So it's I plus equals to 1 and j plus equals to 1. Meta msb. List index out of range. Okay, so we need to check another thing here. Let's check it. Not equals to 5, and this should also be not equals to 5. R, it should be R, and I less than 6, less than 5, yeah, and I less than 5. Let's see what happens. J less than 5, I think. Yeah, metam msb. Ha, it worked. Let's see the value of NWC. Oh, cool. Oh, so I mean, what's the value of I and j? 5 and 5. And NWC of I and j is 0. Why? What's the value of supply and demand? Why did it happen again? Okay, it doesn't run for the 6th case. Like, we have to run the 6th case. That's the thing. I got it. So this will be less than 6. And let's see what happens now. SB. Yeah, so it worked. Let's check it again. NWC. Oh no. I and J. They are both 6. And what's the value of demand and supply? So we are leaving out the last element. It should actually run for the 5th one. Oh, I got it. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6. Oh, I got it. So we have demand and supply count. That's what we have to use everywhere. Why was I doing this thing? Let's go in iEdit mode and change all the 6s to demand and supply count. That's it. Meta msb. Ha, this should work now. Please. NWC. Yo, man. So it does work. Demand is 0, supply is 0, and now we need to calculate the last thing, that is total cost. So total cost equals to 0 initially. What we have to do now is we have to go through all the elements range of 0, I mean range of 10. What's it? Demand and supply count for j in range. Demand and supply count, and the next thing we gotta do is if NWC of I and j not equals to 0, only then, or we can just directly do NWC of I j into equals to costs of I j. Okay, so we are multiplying these two, and we are total cost plus equals to this thing. This should work fine now. Let's print the total cost equal to total cost. Oh, C++, man. MSB. Yeah, so total cost we got 51976. Let's check it. NWC and costs. Okay, so we got costs and we got NWC. Now we gotta do is just multiply the specific positions, and that's not hard, at least. And here we can just do 438 into 37 plus 16 into 35 plus 380 into, oh, that was the alarm. 380 into 10 plus 65 into 5 plus 317 into, that's 10 plus 65 into 17 plus 380 into, what's it, 31 plus 35 into 54 plus 438, that's the large number, into 30. Let's see. Oh yes, so we got the right answer. Okay, so the input is not the perfect one here. You could definitely take different demand and supply counts here, and the demand and supply errors would be totally different. We don't need to just reverse and do this thing. If I want to do a different approach, a different way, then it would become a bit tedious on my side, and I have to take different inputs. So this is for now, and it should do. Like, this is the whole Python program, and I needed only to import random to just randomize stuff, like take input randomly, else this is also not required. You would just need input, which is built-in Python function, and that's all. So basically let's go through this again. This part is all input. Okay, this part is all input. The main algorithm or logic, as you may say starts here and ends here, and the print statement is here. Now the thing is, we are tracking the supply and demand arrays or lists, and whichever is smaller, I am just increasing that one. Like if supply minus x equals to 0, then that was the smaller, so it got increased. If demand was smaller, then j increases. Or in another sense, you can say that there is no supply left, so we can just increase the value so that we can get the next supply. Similar for demand, if a house has got its demand, then we don't need the house again, so we move to the next house. For supply, we move to the next factory, or maybe next baggage, or next truck of goods. So we are moving this to next truck of goods, supply. And demand also same, and we are just increasing them and putting it into the NWC array. NWC 2D array. NWC is a 2D array, so that's done. NWC has all that stuff. Now we will be calculating the total cost. I could have just stored INJ, and we could just have moved over to INJ, and it would not take n square amount of time like here. So if that's the case for you, then you can just store the INJ into a different list and just use this list to iterate over it, and just calculate NWC and costs, multiply them, and you will get the total cost, and you just print the total cost at the last. That's it, and we will meet again someday next. Thanks for watching.